say no.
Okay. Welcome back to the latest edition of the From the Fabricator podcast. I'm your host, Max Perlstein. Thank you so much for joining me. Thanks so much for coming back to another what I consider a fantastic edition of the podcast. A couple great guests today, and really, really fun stuff. We'll get to that in a moment. But first and foremost, this podcast is brought to you by MyGlassClass.com. Check it out for all of your educational needs. 24/7 education on demand. Brought to you by the National Glass Association. The big news this month is Glass Build Month. And if you're listening to this and you have not registered yet, you need to do that now at glassbuild.com. And if you are listening to this and you're planning on coming and you haven't grabbed your hotel yet, you definitely need to go to glassbuild.com, get that hotel. I know a lot of people wait to the last minute. I know that there's a lot going on too, and you're trying to determine on whether or not you're coming, timing that you're coming, and so on. I would take a few minutes and figure that out now, just because the time is here. It's time to start to figure that out. We are about a month away, and this show is unbelievable, folks. 470, 480 booths, amazing education, Connor Lokar, a trends panel, codes panel, panels on mental health, panels on DEIB. I mean, there's just something for everyone at this show. Also, the Glazing Executives Forum, which is held at the show as well. If you're interested in that, you can check it all out at glassbuild.com. But I hope to see you at the show. Looking forward to it here in Atlanta, October 31st to November 2nd. And two of the exhibitors that are going to be at the show are my guests today. And so we're going to lead it off with Frameless Hardware Company, Chris Hanstad and Barry Sutherland, president and vice president, senior vice president there. Great guys. They were on this show, our show here, the podcast, a couple of years ago. A lot has changed. They are rocking and rolling. They're going to lead it off, and then we're going to move into a fantastic interview with Amber Deimler of MyGlassTruck. They are on fire, as always. Great company, great organization with supporting the industry. Strong people. Amber's fantastic. Lots of insight on a lot of different things. Really, really sharp and fun to talk to. So they'll both be at Glass Build. You can see FHC in booth 1205. You can see MyGlassTruck at booth 2223. And then make sure you see the 470, 480 other exhibitors while you're there in Atlanta. So check all that out. Well, let's get it going here. We're going to start off with the FHC guys. Here we go. Okay. To kick things off this month, this is so cool for me to bring back recurring guests, Chris Hanstad and Barry Sutherland, president and CEO, and also senior vice president of sales from FHC, Frameless Hardware Company out in LA. FHC-USA.com is their website. And Chris and Barry, thank you so much for coming back on the pod. We got a lot to cover. Thank you so much for your time today.
Yeah, thanks, Max. It's good to see you again. I know it's been a while, but we've been busy.
Yeah, you have. You have. So it's funny. You guys were on my second ever episode way back in February of 2021. And since then, I've had 112 other people on this podcast since you guys were on that show. And a few things have changed in the FHC world since then as well. So before we get into what's changed, those of you in the audience may not know Chris and Barry. So I wanted to kind of at least give both of you a chance to, give a little quick background, starting with you, Chris, where you came from and how you ended up as the president and CEO of Frameless Hardware Company.
Yeah. So thanks, Max. I mean, I had humble beginnings, just hungry, looking for a job, just getting out of school. And went to work for a small glass fabricator here in Southern California, learned the glass business. And with that, I graduated into going to work for a glass hardware company, spent 15 years there learning everything that touches glass.
Sure.
And from there, FHC was born, and that's my simple story, but I've been doing it for a few decades, and I love every bit of it.
Perfect. Barry, and how about you, sir?
How you doing, Max?
Great.
Well, been in the industry 28 years, more than half my life now. And what a great industry. Like Chris, started out humble. Actually, started out answered an ad in the newspaper to go to work as a warehouseman for Summer Maca in the City of Commerce.
Sure.
just learned the industry from the bottom up, and had opportunities to take over sales territories as time went on, and then ended up working for a major competitor in the industry. And next thing you know, Chris and I are here at FHC, and
Love it.
What a great industry we're in, I tell you.
We are, and I think that it's because of people like you and Chris. You both bring so much fire, and you bring enthusiasm, and you bring knowledge, and you do so much. And that's the thing. One of the big things I wanted to cover is 2+ years ago when we talked, FHC was just getting going. You had a lot of balls in the air, but they were in the air. They weren't. They were like passes that were coming out of the quarterback's hands and headed to the wide receiver, and the wide receiver hadn't caught it yet. And they're all going at once. And now I think since then, you're completing passes left and right. And so I kind of want to talk about what's happened in these last 2 years, some of the biggest highlights. And one thing I want to throw out there is these last 2+ years since you were on the podcast, I got to see you guys in LA, and I saw it for myself. Completely blown away, especially the location you remodeled, and I guess I don't know what you consider the downtown LA, the Firestone building. I don't that just blew my mind. But let's talk about everything that you've got going on in these last 2+ years. I assume you probably made a list. What have been some of the highlights in these 2+ years since you were on this podcast of the growth of FHC?
Well, the growth's been great. Since we talked last, I think we had maybe a little over 100 employees at the time.
Right.
We're over 250 employees here now. It's tremendous. Even since the last time you visited it, we continue to grow. We continue to build and work hard. We have locations now. We have 2 locations in the LA area. Max, you saw them here on Firestone Boulevard, but also in the Seattle area, we've got a location there. And also in Columbia, South Carolina on the east,
yes,
we've got a nice location there. So just in buildings, branches and service centers, we've come a long way since we've talked last.
Well, and then also we really expanded our manufacturing facility and our manufacturing capabilities, along with made great additions for like with machinery and also our footprint there at manufacturing. So that was tremendous. Also, we had the Morse acquisition that really was just tremendous for our company, and it just really helped with the growth of the company, and the people that came with that acquisition are just outstanding. It's difficult to find people in our industry because they don't really teach this industry in school.
No.
So when you're able to find people who understand the industry and speak the same language and have a heart for the industry, it really just Morris was just such a great pickup for us.
Brilliant strategic acquisition too. Like you said, people, it's hard to find, but also being able to kind of mix what they were doing and how they were doing it into your culture and your world. That was brilliant. Absolutely. Kudos to you guys on that one. Great move.
Well, the key to our growth will be, and we always say this, is going to be, increasing our customer base,
right,
which we have a long way to go on that. Locations, we still have more room there that we're excited about in the near future, and also products. We innovative products, patented products.
Yeah,
things are going to take us to the next level in life, and we're excited about it.
Absolutely.
No.
And we're always looking for more sales.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have to. Yeah. You know what? But I think that's your drive. I don't think you two or anybody that's at FHC or throws on those letters and that logo are comfortable with anything. There's no resting on the laurels in your world, I have a feeling.
Everybody's selling. Everybody.
Everybody's growing in the same direction. Yeah. And I think that is one of the exciting things about this company is you can, as a visitor, you can walk through our facilities and you can kind of feel the energy, whether it's on the manufacturing floor, through customer service, or even out in the warehouse.
Yeah. And I think I wrote about it on my blog and may not have explained it as well, but the one thing I felt when I walked through your floors was I did feel a true, genuine, culture likability. like everybody there was happy to be there. Everybody was hungry. The byplay between you, Barry, and everybody we walked to was real. I mean, it wasn't like, oh, I got to put on a show sort of thing. It was really, really genuine, really legitimate. And the other thing was just the real time aspect of you guys being able to track everything. I mean, you have your fingers on the pulse. And if I'm a customer, I love that because I know, all you care about, is the sales, but you also care about making sure that it all comes out the first time, the best time. Yeah, really, really impressive.
We call that extreme customer service. and really we pride ourselves on that. It's refreshing to, to be a customer, to be able to call into a business and have a live person answer a phone and get transferred to the correct department the first time.
Yeah.
And be able to, speak their language and understand what they're asking and be able to help them. And I think that's refreshing in the world that we live in today.
It makes it, customer service makes a difference. And when people know they can count on it and they know they could talk to somebody or reach somebody or connect somehow, it makes a big difference. And in our world, that, everybody's busy, and if they need something, they want to be able to access it quickly. And you guys have always had that touch and that flavor, which I appreciate. And really now the big thing for me is like where you were, back in February of 2021 versus now with additional locations, additional people. Do you look back and say, holy crap, I can't believe where we're at right now? Or is it like, nah, we haven't even scratched the surface yet?
You know what? It's for us. It's we're moving so fast.
Yeah.
We don't even stop to think about it. We're moving. We're marching. Everyone's working hard, keeping their heads down. And one thing that we talk about what's next for FHC.
Yes.
It's, the big one that you haven't even seen yet is we've just acquired a 20-acre campus on the old Firestone Tire and Rubber plant.
Wow.
And that gives us over 600,000 square feet of manufacturing, distribution, all centralized in one area. It is tremendous, and it's going to be a game changer for the industry, giving service all from one location, so we can feed our service centers all from our 20-acre campus here in the LA area.
Wow. So what's the timeline on getting everything rolling there? I'm blown away by the Firestone, what I saw already. I can't even imagine it now blown up even more.
Right. So that we're in the design development phase now. Okay. By I would say summer of next year, we'll invite you out for another tour and visit, and you'll really see some changes. We're going to improve the whole area.
Fantastic. Oh, that's wonderful. Congratulations on that. And so that's definitely part of what's next. Anything else a part of what's next? It's kind of dwarfs to that news of what you're doing at the I don't know what else, I don't think a new piece of hardware, which is going to be awesome, can compare to what you're doing, but anything else new that we need to hit on?
There's still room for, for adding more products to the FHC brands. We are a catalog company. We've produced 4 catalogs in the last 2 years, and we're working on our 5th catalog now. It's a hardware catalog as far as all the general glazing tools and supplies and all the things that go along with that.
Max, what we really believe in, glazers a lot of them are still old school, and we're big on website development, but a lot of people still want that old traditional catalog in their truck. So we see the need for both, and we're going to continue to do both all the way through.
Yeah, and that's a good call. And what's underrated right now is that we all assume everybody has data on their phones, but it's funny. I had to go to a wedding 2 weeks ago, and I'm a big college football fan. It was a Saturday night during college football season. It was an afternoon of 4 o'clock wedding, so you're missing every game everywhere. And my internet would not work. At this hall, it would not work. I was walking down the street and told my wife I had to go get some fresh air, and I'm holding my phone trying to get scores, and my data would not work. And so when you said that, I thought about, these guys need the catalog, the FHC catalog in their truck, because if they go on their phone to try to find what they need and they don't have data, then they're in big trouble. Yet here they can, jump through the catalog, see what they need, make a phone call, get it done. And so, I think you guys are on tap with that, because as the world keeps going to internet, if there's no data to get you there, you're out of luck. You're on an island. So kudos to you.
Yeah, thanks.
The nice thing too, for for us who depend on the data, all of our catalogs are available online too, and
Right.
they're just great digital format to be able to flip through the pages. And you know, if you're looking for, you know, hardware for your next handrail project, you go right to the website, download some catalog pages. You can use those for submittals. I mean, it just the whole team's just done a great job putting it together.
Fantastic.
And, to kind of get back to your question, you know, do we ever like look back and rest? I think the answer really is no. I mean, I think Chris and I both say this all the time. We really are just getting started.
Love it.
We've got a long way to go. There's a lot of things we'd still like to accomplish, you know, in life, and we're just so thankful to be part of this industry and be able to have the opportunity to serve.
Thrilled to have you here. Thrilled. And so again, I'm with Chris Hanstad and Barry Sutherland from FHC, FHC-USA.com. You can see all that great web work that Barry was just talking about. These guys are swamped. We're at the end of the month right here, and so I appreciate them giving me some time. So I got a handful more questions and let them get back. We just covered, you know, the last 2+ almost 3 years since we talked last on this podcast. So much has changed: new locations, acquisitions, new products, catalogs, you name it. So before we get back into the serious stuff, a fun question for you, and I gave you a sneak preview, so you had enough time to think about this. I can't wait to hear the answer. Since you guys are in LA, not far from Hollywood, that's for sure. If we did a TV show or movie about FHC, what actors are playing you guys? Who is playing Barry? Who is playing Chris? You know, you're in LA. We're screen testing here. Who's playing you guys in the FHC movie?
We don't have time to watch movies, Max. I don't know what you're talking about.
I had a feeling that was going to be somewhere along the answer, because I know you work every day, so there's probably no TV or movie in your world.
What do you think? What would you pick?
You know, it's funny. See, Chris, you're Brad Pitt. I mean,
Yeah.
you know, so for sure, you're Brad Pitt. And, you know, Barry, you know, there's a lot of people who can go different ways with Barry because of, you know, he's got that background. You know, Barry, you started out in the warehouse, you know, tougher guy. I was, you know, I'm trying to find like a younger De Niro. You know, I can't figure out, you know, for Barry, a tough younger guy who, you know, the hard scrabble, build himself up and become like the superstar type. So that's, you know, that's what I was thinking about for you guys. But Brad Pitt for you, Chris.
Max. Not bad.
Yeah, we'll take it.
We're actually making our own new blockbuster movie over
That's right.
here. We're gonna have new characters. Watch out.
Hey, nothing would surprise me. I would not be surprised to see a movie studio on that lot at Firestone for sure. Well, thanks for playing along on the fun one. I know you guys work, and I appreciate you doing it. So, a couple more questions. Let's talk education. FHC is a humongous supporter of My Glass Class. That is just so appreciated, so amazing. Thank you. From me as an industry guy, I am so grateful that you guys step up, and the Frisch Foundation steps up and does what they do for the industry. What drives you to do that? Because you know, the interesting thing is you could look at it from the outside in. You're creating catalogs. You don't have to do that. You don't have to step up for the industry. But why do you?
Well, I think, and Barry's probably going to agree with me on this, but this industry has taken care of myself and my family for decades. They put food on our table, they paid the mortgage, and that was when I was, you know, young and just hungry, looking just for something. And it's nice to be able to get into an industry, stay into the industry, and you grow with an industry, and then that industry takes care of you. And we want to give back. We want to find other young people like ourselves, and we're always looking and watching for the right, you know, young bloods that are going to come in here and take us to the next level in life. But that's the answer, is just investing, whether it be through My Glass Class or Glazers Education or even trade shows, Max.
Mm-hmm.
Big suppliers and vendors should support the trade shows. Yes. And go. And we're committed to doing that every year.
Agreed.
Fantastic. Great. And much appreciated. And speaking of trade shows, let's talk about Glass Build. That's coming up October 31st and November 2nd in Atlanta. Very excited about the show. You guys, again, you know, you put your money where your mouth is. You do always support it. You've supported it since FHC started. and you're one of those places on the floor that is always busy. Everybody wants to get to. They see those letters. They see that, that black and silver there. The period of excellence that brings with it. What do you got on tap for Glass Build? So when people come to Atlanta this fall, in just a couple of weeks, what are they going to see, and what can they expect out of the FHC booth?
Well, first of all, we love going to the shows. We can't wait to be in Atlanta. Probably the thing that we love the most about going to the shows is just seeing all of our customers that we speak to on the phone, throughout the year, but we actually get to see them face to face. Also, just make new connections, new relationships there at the show. Some of the things that we're going to be showing for the first time at the show, it'll be our new G52. It's a bottom thermally broken bifold system, along with our new T200 and T500 thermally broken aluminum door systems with aluminum framing. Really excited about those. Also, we've got some aluminum awning systems that we're going to be introducing at the show,
and also live demos.
Demos on our Achieve handrail system. Every time we show these every time we show that system at a show, that you could see the customer's eyeballs just light up, because they see how simple it is to install a heavy glass system into an aluminum.
Or even like our HLI door, with Herc door, they see it and see how easy it is. These are patented, great products that just made it a little bit easier for them to put in, and we love to show it.
100%.
Going to be a packed show, going to be a busy show, and so those that are attending, which I assume is going to be most people listening to this, FHC is in booth 1205. So make sure you stop on by, and you'll see. Again, the beautiful thing about you guys, you're there. You're working it. You're not, you're not off, hobnobbing out there. I mean, you're in the crux of that booth from, show open to show close, and your booth's busy from show open to show close, which is pretty awesome. So
and tear it down.
yes, you do. Yes, you do. Chris Hanstad, Barry Sutherland, FHC. They're online at fhc-usa.com. One last question before we wrap up. The economy. Again, you're coming from a different angle than a lot of people that I talk with, because a lot of the people I talk with are either a glass fabricator or they're the glazer. You're in kind of a different sort of world. You have the fabrication angle. What are you guys seeing for 2024? What's your gut feel for our economy for next year?
Yeah, I mean, it is an election year, and those are usually pretty good as far as I'm concerned. Right. But we are in a unique place, Max. FHC is in a unique growth pattern. Yeah, I think for the next few years, it's a lot of it's a lot of common sense business practice and a lot of hard work. Everyone in this company is working, putting their blood, sweat, and tears into this, and you can see it and feel it when you come into the business. So I think with us being a younger company and still having a lot of room for growth, even if there is a change in the wind, I don't think that it's going to affect FHC.
Great.
So
go ahead.
I was just say, to kind of add on to that, I mean, we've had a good steady growth through 2023 and planning on continued growth through 2024.
Yeah. Perfect. Very, very cool. Well, I appreciate your time. I've been with Chris Hanstad and Barry Sutherland, President and CEO, and also Senior Vice President of Sales, FHC, Frameless Hardware Company. See them online, fhc-usa.com. So much going on. Guys, I appreciate it. I will, I guess next podcast will be sometime in 2025. And, by then, I don't even want to guess what the world's going to look like. Your world domination, keep rolling, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you so much for taking the time today and catching up with me, and bringing the audience up to date on all the great things going on out in California and the rest of the world for FHC.
Max, always a pleasure.
Thank you, Max.
Thank you again.
Look forward to seeing you. In a month or less?
Yeah, a couple more weeks. See you in Atlanta.
Yeah, take care.
Thanks, guys. Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Work in the glass or fenestration industry? Build your team, business, and livelihood by attending the biggest industry event of the year, Glass Build America. Join your peers, prospects, and competitors in Atlanta October 31st through November 2nd for the ultimate business building and networking event, Glass Build America. Learn more and register at glassbuild.com. That's glassbuild.com. Register for free using promo code POD.
Okay. Kicking it off on our next guest, and I'm thrilled to have Amber Deimler, who is the Vice President of Sales at MyGlassTruck. You can find them online at myglasstruck.com. Great company, great materials. We're going to hear all about it today. And I've been a fan of Amber's from afar. I love a lot of the things that she's put together with MyGlassTruck. And so now I finally get her on the podcast, and thrilled to have you with us. Amber, thank you so much for doing the pod.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I have the same feelings towards you, Max. I'm grateful to be here. Love the things you guys are doing, and glad to be a part of it.
Awesome. And before I forget, if you're going to Glass Build, which you should be going, you can see Amber and everything that she's got going at booth 2223. And so we'll be talking about that in a little bit too. But starting off with you, Amber, the one thing I always start off with all my guests, I'd love to know, how you got here. What was your path? How did you end up as this leader in the truck rack world, the mountable concepts world? How did you get from point A to point B? I'd love to hear about your past.
Yeah, it's really interesting, right? You don't grow up saying, I want to build truck equipment when I get older.
Right.
But I found myself here, and I'm extremely happy and grateful. So I grew up in Hershey, Pennsylvania. It's kind of where the story starts. I went to University of Delaware to play field hockey, and I got a business degree there. So concentration was marketing. So it was a focal point of marketing. And from there, I went to work for a medical device company. So completely unrelated field. Did that for about 5 years, and found my way to enterprise, which is how I kind of got my foot in the door of transportation. Worked in some different divisions for enterprise and found myself in the commercial truck and fleet leasing space. That's how I met Rustin Casway, the current president of our company, just in an interaction unrelated to me working here. And he needed a vice president of sales, but not at that current moment. So we stayed in communication. I just love the entire company culture. And when the opportunity presented itself, he gave me a call, and it was a pretty easy yes. But I'd say my kind of foot in the door of transportation definitely came through enterprise. It was a huge benefit to kind of understand just transportation and the world before kind of getting into the customized truck equipment space.
Smart. And so I love it. It's a Hershey, PA. I've been there, and the best part about Hershey, PA is the smell. It smells like chocolate. First time I ever went there, getting out of the car and getting that whiff of the chocolate from the factory was wild. Do you like? This is off topic. Do you like chocolate? I mean, you grew up there. I'm curious.
Yeah, it's a bit of a rite of passage, right? When you grow up there, but I do. I happen to love chocolate. I was just there last weekend. I took my kids back for some of the Halloween events that they have going on. They start kind of the tail end of September, beginning of October. So it's nice now to be able to take my kids back to experience some of the really fun stuff I got to do growing up.
I love it. And a blue hen from Delaware, so that's cool too. And I could assume, knowing Russ and meeting him at the shows and seeing, he's a very persuasive sort of guy. So I could see that being a nice connection, and you're a good fit for that for sure.
That's great. Thank you. Yes, he is. He's very persuasive, and he's very passionate about what he does. And I'm very passionate about what I do. So I think it was a really great combination, and it was a great opportunity for me.
And I love the fact that you have that truck experience. And I'd like to talk a little bit about the glass rack, because I think those of us who are in the industry, that it's not as simple as it looks. And it is a little bit of a challenge. But I think that some people take the whole glass rack aspect for granted too. Because it seems like, from maybe the outside looking in, the technology hasn't changed, but it has. And I know that you guys, you and your team have continued to change it. I'd like to talk a little bit about, what makes MyGlassTruck stand out with your racks, with your approach, with your service, because I've seen it, but I don't know if our whole audience, really gets that. So curious on how you pitch that.
Yeah, I think it starts really with our core values as a company. I mentioned company culture. I think that shows through with our end product, and it shows through with our interactions with our customers and our prospective customers. I think we just always drive things back, and every decision that we make is related to our core values. I think we have this ability to innovate, to develop new products, to make improvements on products. And we have that ability because in our core values, a lot of it is not having an ego, right? It's taking feedback from the folks that are actually using our stuff who are saying, this works great, this doesn't work so great, and using our engineering expertise and knowledge to make improvements upon those things. And it's not always a brand new product. Sometimes it's a tweak on a product, and just being able to say, you know what, we might not know the best way, because yes, we're building the equipment, but I'm not loading glass. I try to get as much knowledge as I can from our current customers, but I'm not loading glass every day. I'm not taking it off at the job site. I'm not installing glass. So really listening to what they're saying and being able to innovate and evolve, I think that's made us really, really different. And just listening, we spend most of the day, instead of selling, I think the thought is you're selling. Our team really spends most of the day listening, right? Listening to what people need from us. Understanding their business, that's really important to us. We don't want to just sell something to someone. We want to understand what's going to make them successful and figure out how we can be even a small piece of that. So I think it's really made us different, because you can talk product specs all day, but I think it really drives back to the culture and the core values that we utilize to kind of manage our way through the industry. So
no doubt. And your culture is fantastic from everything I've seen and experienced in my career. I've always been impressed. Curious on the supply chain. Did you guys run into issues? I mean, again, you're in a little bit of a different world than the typical glass person, because you're selling, the material to help bring the glass from one point, or in the metal from one point A to point B. Supply chain issues, have they affected you? And if they did, how have you overcome them?
I'd say the biggest one that it impacted us, you had a little bit of material pricing. Obviously, right, we work in aluminum, we work in steel and other areas of our business here. So material pricing was a big thing, but I'd say vehicle shortage, specifically in that, the pickup trucks, van space, that was a challenge for a little while, just with customers needing vehicles, but the fact that they couldn't actually get them to put the racks on. We're obviously heavily married to the fact that someone needs to have a vehicle to put a rack on it. We struggled a little bit through that, but I would say there's been so much pent up demand also as a result of that we've been really fortunate to stay busy. And we've been busy, I'd say, for the last 3-4 years, kind of through all of the different phases and cycles that we've had. I think we've stayed busy, but if there's two areas, material supply and then vehicle shortage.
Awesome. Yeah, and it's true. I forgot about the vehicle supply, the chip problem with that affects everybody, and so yeah, it probably affected you too. But you've overcome, and so I assume your R&D team is working hard. Anything new and exciting with MyGlassTruck coming down the pike? What do you got coming through?
We're always innovating. We're always looking for ways to improve. I'd say it's a couple spaces that we spent quite a bit of time, in the course of this year, larger trailer offerings, right? So sometimes what we've seen is there's like an 8-foot trailer option, and then there's massive trailer options, but what's in between? So for us, we've spent a lot of time developing that like 12 to 20-foot trailer option. And a lot of that has come from the vehicle shortage, realizing that sometimes you have to do more with the vehicles that you have. Right. And what better than a flexible option like a trailer to be able to haul things to a job site, but then be able to detach it and have that vehicle do something different while someone's loading or unloading. So that's been a space we spent some time. A lot of creative designs were related to reducing shipping costs. Believe it or not, obviously we know transportation and shipping has just skyrocketed as of recent. If you're getting any materials in and out, you've experienced that. Our racks are no different. We crate them up, we ship them all over the country. So finding ways to creatively put the rack together so that maybe it reduces overall height, reduces the size, and can be assembled on site. That's been a big push for us, trying to help our customers out with that, because a good portion of our cost is related to shipping right now. So the jumbo glass space has presented itself. Yeah. There's a lot going on in that space. We know transportation's tricky. It's dangerous. It's difficult to handle. So we've been spending some time there. And also stone. Stone is a big part of, it's related really closely, more than you would think a lot of times, to glass. So spending time looking at what maybe some of our options we have now, if we make a couple of tweaks, changes, evolve them a little, how they could potentially serve that industry as well, so that we could kind of take care of the full customer if they're doing both, or if they're a building envelope type of company, being able to help them in all spaces. So that's probably the 4 core areas.
Nice. Yeah, you're on fire there. I'm lucky to be with Amber Deimler, Vice President of Sales at MyGlassTruck. You can find them online, myglasstruck.com. See them at Glass Build booth 2223 coming up here at the end of October. I'm really curious. This one's my big curiosity question. Electric vehicles, EVs. You're an expert. You come from the trucking background. You're in the space every day. I read a ton about the EV side, and I'm really curious because obviously there's a tremendous push from DC right now to get more electric vehicles on the road. But for me, as a I'm a nervous wreck. I have that anxiety. I would be scared to death to get in one and see, oh my gosh, I have 2 miles left, and try to figure out where to recharge. I also have no patience to sit there for a half an hour or an hour to charge it up. So I'm terrible with that angle. But I'm curious because I'm sure you're seeing it. What is your take on the EV side? Is it happening? Are you seeing it come down? Are you getting, are you outfitting EV, vehicles right now? What's your thought on the whole electric vehicle process?
Yeah, it's a challenge for aftermarket truck equipment teams to solve this because it's coming,
Yeah,
whether we're all comfortable with it or not, it's probably heading our way. I'd say the area that we see it happening the most is those vans. Electric transits are a big deal. Some
right.
electric pickup trucks. So in the smaller commercial vehicle segment, we've seen some come through our shop that we've fitted. And there are some unique engineering challenges with those vehicles. For example, the transits, they store all the batteries underneath of the floor that's kind of in the rear cargo area. So if we were formerly, let's say, drilling things down through the floor to
Right.
put some internal racks, you've got to be very mindful about where and how you're doing that, right?
Right.
Batteries are expensive, so you never want to drill through somebody's battery. So we've spent a lot of time on the engineering side looking at, okay, if these come through our shop, what can we offer customers? Because we've seen it coming. I'd say the class 4 vehicles, so kind of the smaller, but larger truck chassis, it's still a developing product. And I'm going to tell you why. The infrastructure for charging, as you mentioned, truly just isn't there yet.
Right.
So for people to spend, what the cost of these EVs are specifically in that space, and then be unsure of where they might be able to charge up, or maybe they don't have a consistent route every day. The vans and the pickups are a bit easier because you can charge them nearly everywhere. They get a bit better of a range, and you can kind of plan out your day according. But with these larger vehicles, the range is far less. They're not always on dedicated routes. I think that's going to be the next area to tackle if we're heading into a fully EV space. That's definitely an area to tackle, is range and infrastructure for those class 4 and up vehicles. But we are seeing some of the lighter duty vehicles come through our shop and come our way. So we've just tried to be prepared the best that we can and tried to look at them and look at what the manufacturers are recommending from a bodybuilder standpoint, what kind of guidance they're giving us, and taking a look so that if a customer comes to us and says, hey, I have this, we want to be able to take care of them. But I think it's still an evolving product.
Interesting.
For my team.
Yeah, and I'm curious to see where it goes. I personally wish that there would have been more of a push to a hybrid first, to get everybody connected onto hybrid and used to having both, and then, move to the next step. I get the whole ripping the Band-Aid off, but we're just not ready.
No. And you bring up a really good point, because I see even in my personal life, I see a lot of people adopting the hybrid model and being comfortable with that. And I think it is a good segue into, the fully electric vehicle. And I agree with you. I think there's an area of opportunity there to get people comfortable with the technology, but not 100% of the time, and then be able to scale it at that point. But there was definitely a bridge there that seems to have kind of been blown over.
Sure. And interesting that you guys, it's funny. You're right. You're used to putting a rack on, and attaching to a certain sort of vehicle, and where everything is. And now it's a whole new ball game. It's very interesting that the study that you and your folks have to do.
Yeah, it definitely is. It's added a layer for us, and we're grateful. We have a 4-person engineering team, and we've added another engineer here. So we have a lot of resources kind of going towards this. And every year, as manufacturers change their makes, models, their setups, we kind of have to go through this practice anyway, because things aren't always the same. Fuel tank locations move, and these are all things that are happening behind the scenes, but you don't think about that. There's different things that move that require us to kind of adjust our design on our racks. So it's something we're doing anyway, but it's nice to have a fully supportive engineering team in that space for sure.
Very much so. Very much so. I know you've got a lot going, so I got a few more questions for you, and one of them is a fun one, and I ask a fun one to every guest. And for you, 3 people that you could have dinner with, dead or alive, who would they be and why?
I really like this question. I'm an athlete by nature, so
Field hockey, right?
Field hockey. I'd love to have dinner with Serena Williams. I think she is just a champion.
Yeah.
In a space that she had to face a lot of adversity to get there. And she just was a champion over and over and over again. So to be able to repeat that, the discipline required for that is just tremendous. So I'd love to just hear about her process.
Yep.
And then the process of being a mom and a champion at the same time. That's a pretty interesting concept.
Yes.
Howard Schultz, from a business standpoint.
Love that. Love that. Okay.
You know, I think he's a pretty personable guy, and it seems that he's just developed this awesome plan for consistency among his stores remotely, which I think is a real challenge, to know that you're going to walk into a Starbucks in Chicago and a Starbucks in New York and get the same experience. That speaks a lot to company culture. So I'd love to pick his brain about that, because I think that's just something that is difficult for a lot of companies. So I love his model, what he's done. And I kind of threw a curveball in this last one.
Yeah.
So thinking through it, I know you said dead or alive, but I'm going to pick a fictional character.
Tell me.
I think it'd be awesome to have dinner with Jay Gatsby. I mean, the guy
The Great Gatsby. I love it.
Great Gatsby, right? He knew how to party. He was relatively a salesperson. It was a pretty cool era, the 20s. So
Oh yeah.
I think for me, that'd be a pretty neat interaction, just to learn a little bit more about that guy and all that he was.
Tremendous. And my daughter's a big Great Gatsby fan. Wait till I tell her that that's the one you picked. That's very, very cool. I love it. I love all three. I mean, Serena, you know, talking about overcoming so much adversity, you know, both from, you know, growing up and where she grew up, and then, you know, all the obstacles she faced, and then playing as a mother, you know, she was in tournaments when she was pregnant, you know, high level professional tournaments. And I love Howard Schultz, one of my all time favorites. And so you nailed that one. And then I like Jay Gatsby. Very cool. You nailed it.
Awesome.
Couple more questions for Amber Deimler, Vice President of Sales from MyGlassTruck. You can find them online, myglasstruck.com. So you guys at Glass Build, and that's coming up here at the end of the month, always make a splash. Even before you came on board, with you on board, I mean, it's one of those things that on our floor at Glass Build, people always stop at your booth, even if they're in a business that doesn't need a truck, they stop at your booth, which probably drives you a little crazy sometimes. But I'm curious, anything special on tap for this year that you can share?
You know, I'm glad you said that, and thank you for the kind words. We look at this as kind of our Super Bowl, right? It's our opportunity to see a lot of our customers, touch a lot of our customers. And as you mentioned, some of our prospective customers, we are more than open to people who have racks from competitors coming to visit us. It's really a culture thing. We are here to support the glass industry, support glazers. And we don't care if you have our rack or somebody else's rack. There's plenty of room for all of us at the table, right? So we just love having people come and join us and celebrate and introduce themselves, because, you know, it's the industry that we're serving. We really do view ourselves that way. So this year's going to be exciting. I know everyone's used to seeing our pink carpet. You might see some changes aesthetically there. You might have to find us from a little bit of a different color segment, but it's going to be really interesting. And we have a really cool photo opportunity at our booth. So we're going to have what I like to call a highly sustainable, unique glass delivery vehicle there that people are more than welcome to jump on, take some photos. We have some really cool, it's going to be given away at the end of the show too, which is pretty exciting. So some good stuff. We will have some equipment there. We'll have a pickup truck with a rack on it. And we're also going to potentially be bringing a smaller trailer if we can make that work. So there's going to be a lot of great stuff, a lot of swag given out as always, stickers, exciting stuff. We hope everybody comes to see us, come say hi. We love this event, and we're very, very excited about it this year. I think it's
you guys never fail. And so it's a booth 2223, Glass Build in Atlanta, October 31st and November 2nd. MyGlassTruck. I can't wait. You've got me excited. I'm already stuck on, oh my gosh, what color carpet. I mean, the pink it was your calling card. So you have mixed it up this year. This is very exciting.
It was. I knew if I was going to change the carpet, I better bring some really exciting things in the booth. So it's going to be really great. It's going to be exciting. And Michael Frett, who I know a lot of people in the industry have connected with, he's going to be there with me. And also Nick Damiani, who is our lead engineer on the glass products. He's going to be there with me to answer questions, meet people. And what I love about it is a lot of people coming up to talk to us have interacted with one of the two of them or myself on the phone. So it's just great to put a face to a name and be able to celebrate all the fantastic things we have going on in our industry right now. No doubt. Fantastic. Looking forward to that. And go way back with Mike. Michael, a good guy, always an interesting guy too. Always a story there somewhere. Always a story. I love it. So wrapping up, last question. You were, I assume, with just backlog, you're probably pushed out a little bit into 24, or not maybe even into 2025. I like to ask everybody again. One of my core questions is how you're seeing the economy, what your forecast looks like, and you guys.
are kind of on that forefront, because you're a little bit probably further out than everybody. What are you seeing for the future? Are you nervous? Are you cautious, optimistic? Are you excited? What's the future look like for you guys economy wise?
Yeah, we talk about this pretty frequently, and I think cautiously optimistic is definitely the right way to put it. So we have this benefit that we have kind of an overriding company, the DCI group, that works in some different truck equipment spaces, and one of which serves the building material supply industry, which we know goes hand in hand with glass, right? The building envelope companies, windows and doors, millwork. There's so much correlation there. And there's a lot of industry forecasting done in that space, and we kind of benefit from it on the glass side as well. And I think everybody's pretty cautiously optimistic right now. We know that they're still building new homes, which is fantastic, and there's a need for that in a lot of markets. Yes, we have some higher interest rates in that space, so there's some things and challenges and hurdles there, but I think there's been a good bit of pent-up demand that's still continuing to kind of flush out here. And my hope, and I think everyone's hope here, is that just keeps us stable enough that there's nothing major that falls out, that we're stable enough to get to kind of that next threshold and what's next. So we're definitely cautiously optimistic. We're always ready to pivot and evolve where needed to help our customers, our industry. But we are definitely staying cautiously optimistic, and we are booked into 2024 for some of the larger units. So we're grateful for that. And I think all of that is just a testament to, following your core values and being supportive of your customers and trying to be as reactive and responsive as you can. So we're hoping to continue that, and we hope that the industry stays busy, because that's great for everybody. So
no, I'm feeling the same way. I get a little nervous. The rates, the interest rates things eat at me a little bit, and that has me a little worried. And the lack of a return to office in a full press has worried me a little bit. But resiliency is there, and that's our world. We're a resilient industry for sure, and building products as a whole. I like what you had to say though. So you're feeling okay about next year. So I like that.
Yeah, we definitely are. And you hit the nail on the head. This is a resilient group of people, right? And we're going to find a way. If the door's closed, we'll find the window. So for lack of, better terms, but there's definitely a lot of really good things happening. And as you mentioned, I'm also seeing quite a few more large corporations having people return to work, which I think is a good thing. We're seeing it in waves and in rollbacks kind of slowly, but surely. There's definitely a lot of value to that. And I think people are seeing the return value of having people in the office and the relationship building. So that will definitely benefit all of us as well.
Huge. Yeah, absolutely. Well, this has been great. I've been very lucky to have Amber Deimler, Vice President of Sales from MyGlassTruck on, and you can find them online, myglasstruck.com. You can see them at Glass Build at booth number 2223 with a different color carpet. So that'll be within a bunch of stuff in the booth. I can't wait to go there. Thank you so much for doing the podcast. This was great. I learned a ton, and I'm excited to continue to chop it up with you as time goes on. But thank you so much for this. This was fantastic. Thank
you, Max. Yeah, we're looking forward to seeing you and everyone at Glass Build. I think it's going to be a great opportunity for us to connect in person. So thank you again for having me. I appreciate it.
You bet. See you soon. Thanks.
See you soon.
Okay, that was fun. A couple fun interviews. Thank you to Chris and Barry from FHC. Thank you to Amber from MyGlassTruck. Great people, great interviews, and they'll all be at Glass Build. Make sure that you stop by and visit them. Once again, this podcast was brought to you by MyGlassClass.com. We got a lot of my's going on. MyGlassClass.com, your home for education from the National Glass Association, 24/7 on-demand training. So many courses, more than 100 courses, even 60 of them or more in Spanish. So great way to get trained and train your folks at myglassclass.com from the NGA. As I wrap up every month, talk a little TV. The writer's strike is seemingly over. I think they're back to work. Now we got to get the actors back to work. So we'll see how quickly some new shows can get into the pipeline. One that I'm looking forward to watching is called The Gold on Paramount Plus, a true story from England about a gold heist. So that should be pretty interesting. And then a sad note, a good show, The Winning Time. The story about the Los Angeles Lakers and the Showtime years and so on. Looked like it was going to have some legs and take us all the way from Magic Johnson through Kobe Bryant and so on. And isn't going to happen. HBO canceled it. So if you didn't check out Winning Time, 2 seasons of that on HBO Max. Good watches. Unfortunately, that got canceled. But not canceled. Glass Build. Glass Build is coming up October 31st and November 2nd. Go to glassbuild.com, get registered, get there, get to see the people I just interviewed. FHC and MyGlassTruck, great people. Get to see so many others. Network, educate, learn, get ahead. We'll see you there. I'm a little passionate about it. You'll see me as well. So check all that out. Until then, until my next podcast, thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you soon.
Oh, the music is stopped.